So one of the top questions we get from prospective students of Hot Mess Home Success is how are we going to get their spouse to actually get on board with this program? And we've been really successful at doing this. So I wanted to step you through how we do it because I'm not going to lie, it's a little unique, but we have really, really good success rates. And I am completely convinced that this is the only way that we're going to get your spouse on board long-term, because we don't want them to just get on board for a couple of days. We don't want them to pretend to make it work, but then just fall off the wagon. We want long-term sustainable change that's easy for everyone. The way that we do that is bare minimum effort on a consistent basis. So here's how we do it. First thing that you need to know is that there's a range of what we call reluctant spouses, right? I don't know who you're married to. So just like we have unique personalities, so do our spouses. And how we get them to do the things that they need to do are going to be different based on who they are. Some spouses are just plain emotionally abusive. I mean, they're way off in a left field. And some spouses are really just simply overwhelmed and chronically disorganized, just like a lot of our readers or students are. It's not that they don't want to help, they really do. They just get so overwhelmed and they've kind of lost faith that this is ever going to get better. And so they're just kind of floating by and they don't really know how to help. To make matters worse, a lot of times our students, particularly the toughest cases of chronic disorganization, this is number 6,000th time that they've said okay, new system, new program, this time is going to be different. So for a spouse, it's kind of they're not, even if you know that this time is different, and even if I know that this time is different, they're not really there. They don't really have the same sense of okay, this is totally going to work. They're more okay, here we go again. And so regardless of where your spouse is on the range of spouses, the way to fix it is the same for everybody. So that kind of helps. What we actually do, and this is a little bit unorthodox, but it works really, really well, is we leave them out of it just in the beginning, right? I don't want you to tell them there's a new program. I don't want you to make it this big thing. You're not going to say, here's the new program, here's all the things you have to do. You have to do it every day. Because we're not going to have his buy-in right now. If you tell him about all this stuff right now, he's going to be okay, I'll wait till Wednesday and this will be over. What I want to have happen and what will happen is I want you to take this on your own, not long-term, just in the beginning, so that one, you understand the complete program. You understand how all the pieces work together. You believe and you see for yourself how you can really do a fraction of the things that you used to do. Your house is cleaner, your house is well-maintained, you have less stress and you're happier, right? And then what I want to have happen is for him to come home, or her to come home from work one day and be this house is gorgeous. The house is clean. You're reading a magazine. You're not stressed. You're not yelling at kids. Whose house am I in? When that happens, that is the moment to strike while the iron's hot. That's the day that we say, oh yeah, I tried this new program. It's bare minimum effort. It rewards me by using, the things that I want, time to myself. And it's kind of amazing. And for most, or probably about 50% of our reluctant spouses, that's the time when they say, how can I help? Right? Because we've already said the magic words, bare minimum effort, not a lot of time, not anything crazy, and they can see the results of what's going on. They want more of the good things. So for those spouses, it's super easy. You just show them the results. As soon as they see the results, they know what's going on. They know it's a structured program that they can just add themselves into. They're instantly on board. Now, for the other half, that's what we call super reluctant spouses. We have to do a little bit more, and we'll go into that in the program. But basically what we do is we really focus on compromising, on owning responsibility. But at the end of the day, what I need you to understand is that you can only control yourself. You just can't. I can only control me. I can't even control you. So at the end of the day, we teach you to manage the entire house on your own in 1 hour a day, bare minimum effort on a consistent basis, so that if you are single, if you have a spouse that's deployed, if you just don't have help, if your kids are all old enough so that they're out of the house and they're not home helping. You can do this all on your own, and it's not going to be a massive sacrifice. It's not going to be horrible. You're going to be just fine. But that if you have help, if you have a spouse that we can get on board, and most of them we can, the vast majority of them we can. But again, I can't promise you because I don't know who you're married to. For those cases that your spouse is never going to get on board, then at least we make it so that you have lots of free time, so that it's easy to maintain your house in the hours that you have, and so that they're probably going to be really appreciative of what you do. Now, is that fair? No. But like everything else, like you and your husband are two separate personalities, and my goal is not to con anyone. It's not to promise you things that aren't going to happen. My goal is to make it so with bare minimum effort on a consistent basis, your house is clean, your budget is done, you can stick to it, like actually stick to it, not fall off the wagon in a couple of days. And that this stuff is easy, not eating Cheetos on the couch easy, but way, way easier than anything else you've ever done, and that it works. So one of the things that we do with your spouse is we get on board with compromise, because once they're on board, even though there's a plug and play system, there's a couple of things that I'm always going to want you to handle yourself, and that's foundation. That's dishes, laundry, and schedule a book. The reason why I do that is because those are the absolute most important things in the running of your house. Everything else is just based on what you two compromise of what works for you. Like what does home management, what is important in the cleaning of your house? And I'll give you an example of that. When John and I first came together and started compromising on what was important to us in the house, John loves a scrubbed floor. I'm not just talking about a swept floor. I'm talking about like a scrubbed floor, like an actually scrubbed floor. It's like his military background or something. And if you know anything about me, you know that I could probably go for months without even sweeping. Like it would not bother me in the slightest. And so that was like a huge thing for us, because John was constantly, in my super hot mess days, sweeping was not even anywhere on my to-do list. And John would come home and would be super resentful of the fact that the floor was always dirty. And he would walk around with like no socks on or whatever, and it would drive him nuts that whatever was on the floor. Plus we had a dog, which probably didn't help. And this was a huge source of contention in our marriage. And so when we got together, we compromised. All things were weighted equally. The things that I cared about and the things that he cared about went onto the list. And then we found a really, really simple home management system that worked for all of the things that we cared about and threw out every single thing that we didn't care about. And we live like that. So right now our house is really clean, to certainly to our standards, probably to most people's standards. But there are still things that we just don't do. We've never done. Like my car is almost never cleaned out. It doesn't bother me. We have two cars, so he's never in it and he doesn't care. So my car is always messy. The top of the fridge has never been cleaned. I don't think I've ever washed a window in my life. So things like that just don't get done. Now, if that is the level of clean you're looking for, then, and we have had students who obviously, this is highly personalized, what's important to you and what's important to him. We've had students who totally wash windows and clean the top of their fridge. But the idea is like, let's not do things that neither of you care about. Let's focus our attention on the bare minimum amount of things that you guys really, really care about, that affect your happiness level, that affect your ability to enjoy your house, rather than just following random Pinterest charts. Once you compromise on what's important, we put it into what we call plug and play, a simple home management system. And so that you know that in less than 15 minutes a day, so 1 hour total, 30 minutes for foundation, 15 minutes for what we call the extra like simplified cleaning system, that you can get all the things that are most important to you done. Now, one of the other tricks is when they get involved in the system, we can give them full control of certain areas, which is great because it means you don't have to manage it. So again, these are all highly personalized. You and your spouse's wishes are going to be completely different than what John and mine are. But in our case, what this looks like is that John is completely in charge of the trash. I don't have any control over the trash. I don't have to manage him. I don't have to remind him when trash day is. Like, he has full control over the trash and all natural consequences of that. So that means that if John doesn't remember to take the trash out 1 week, then that means that, you know, because now I have my 8-year-old trying to take the trash out to the big trash bins, then John takes the trash bins out every week. Then John is in charge of making it so that my 8-year-old has a spot to put trash. He makes it so that if we can't fit it in the trash cans because he forgot to take the trash out, he's in charge of making sure that all of that trash gets cleaned up next week. If a bird gets into the trash can or the trash bag because it couldn't fit in the can, like, that's his responsibility. So all of those things fall under his domain. And because there's natural consequences to kind of forgetting, I don't need to manage him because he knows that he doesn't want his job to be harder than it was this week. And so he kind of manages himself. Does that work perfect? No, he still has weeks that he forgets, but it's a complete weight off my shoulder because it doesn't affect me anymore. He has full control over that. For some of our students, it's really, really, really hard to give up control. And that's another thing that we work with you on, is because there are some tasks that I cannot have John screw up on because it does affect me, right? Dishes, laundry, and schedule book are considered to be foundation. And those things I cannot have John take over because those are like the heart of the running of the home. If those go down, everything else falls down on top of us. Now, does that mean that I can't have him switch laundry or take it out and fold it? Absolutely. But I'm still the one that's managing it and making sure it gets done. And if he doesn't do it, those are in my wheelhouse. Those are my responsibility to get done. Now, everything is really personalized, and I cannot stress that enough because who you are and who your spouse is completely different than who I am and who John is. But the only way to be successful at this is to have everyone weighted equally, to prove the effects before you try to get anybody on board, and to give up full control of the tasks that you want them to do. For some students, they don't want them to do any tasks. They would like them to just not be involved, and they want to be kind of the superhero wife, and that's totally fine. And for some people, they want full and equal control, and that's fine too. We're kind of experienced in handling the full range of different personalities, and I really, really expect that we're going to be able to help you. And if we can't, then we have a full refund up to 30 days. So no sweat at all. Okay, reach out to me. You can reach me in comments here, but an easier or quicker way to reach me is to email me at rosemary@busybudgeter.com if you have any questions. Okay, bye.